Hello, people of Earth. Hello, YouTube. Hello, people that might stumble in here. Natas, what's up? First one in here. How about them apples? Daniel Dami, no, Natas was first. Trucker Steven, PA. Ray D, how's it going? Scott James, what's up? Everything going all right? Well, it could be better. Daniel, Nottingham, Dollar Bill, Hill Rider, E Street, Richard the Viking. So, two things I want to talk about today. And I didn't want to do it on a recorded video because, I thought maybe I'd get some input from you guys, and also because there'd be a lot of pauses because I know my thoughts are kind of flowing. Sometimes I can't control those. Hammer Down, what's up? Michael Stout, Rick Jones, Richard Norman. All right, so here's the latest in my saga of screwing my load up, okay? So, yesterday, if you watched the last live feed, yesterday what happened was I did not read my bills, and the shipper gave me the wrong trailer and bills, and I did not read them. I did not catch their mistake, so therefore that mistake bleeds down on me. And we learned a valuable lesson. Schneider had arranged for the other driver that was supposed to get the load I was under to bring that trailer to me because he was at the shipper. I was in Oklahoma City, which is about 220 miles from the shipper, and we were just going to swap trailers and all would be well. I was still going to make it to the customer on time for Friday morning, or Thursday morning actually, and all was well. I called the guy. First I learned that he started his 10-hour break at about 3 in the morning. So I knew he wouldn't be there, so I figured I'm just going to have to drive overnight to get it there on time. Not a big deal. I even took a nap to compensate for that. So I call him up at about 1 o'clock. That's when his 10-hour break was, just to see if everything was going good, because I was under the impression that he had the trailer and he was on his way down here. Well, he didn't answer the phone, so I thought, well, that's a good sign because that means he's driving. Of course, Schneider's got that cell phone policy thing. So about 3 o'clock, he calls me up. Hey, is this Steve? I'm like, yeah. He goes, well, I'm still in Dallas. He goes, yeah, I'm at the OC. My starter went out on my truck. So his truck was in the shop, and I don't think they're going to get it done until like 6 or 7 tonight. That's a problem. So I called my BOA, and she's like, well, he hasn't even picked up the trailer yet. I'm like, great. So my actual load is still sitting there at the shipper, which is about 5 miles from the Dallas OC. So I'm like, well, here's what I'm going to do. So we wheeled and dealed, and now I'm taking it back to the Dallas OC. I drop it off for him so he can grab it and get out of there after his truck's fixed. And then I was able to pick up the load. Now, the problem with that is going from Oklahoma City into Dallas at rush hour and then coming back out of Dallas. I was not going to have enough time to get there in one shot. And so I needed the appointment rescheduled. So I woke up this morning after my 10-hour break was up. I get on the phone with the mothership, told them, hey, what time was the appointment rescheduled for, and they couldn't find out. But then all of a sudden the info changed on my Qualcomm. Now it's for Friday at 7 p.m. So the fact that I picked this load up on Tuesday And it is the only revenue I'm going to have between Tuesday and Friday. If I had a Snyder finance payment, I'd be in the hole. So that's why I've put myself in the position of making sure that I don't have a weekly high payment. There are times when that is necessary to go through Snyder Finance, and it's got its place. However, let it be known that one mistake, one reschedule can screw up your whole week, and that's one of the things that you have to think about. Now, as I was dropping the trailer last night at the yard, the Snyder Company guy came up to me, and he was complimenting my truck, which, nice guy, whatever. And he sits there and he's like, "So is it worth it being an owner operator?" And I kind of paused, and I'm like, it's such a loaded question. And then he goes, "Well, especially with me, I plan on leaving the industry here in about a year and a half." And I'm like, "Well, then don't do it. Because it takes about a year and a half to just get your act together." There's a bit of sacrifice. There are weeks that you're going to have bad weeks. And, coincidentally, we just got our settlement statements today. And I had a really, really good week last week. One of the highest checks I've ever gotten. So that's going to help for this week. See, it seems like if I have an extremely good week, one week, then I'll have a really bad week the next week. Either because of weather, breakdown, circumstances, my own screw up, whatever. But then the average is still the same. It still averages the same. When I first called Jeffrey Like about coming over to Snyder, he said, "You'll be able to consistently average this much per week." And that's what I've been doing. E Street says, "Story of my life, get a bonus, then a bill that takes it all." Right. That's exactly what happens. Let me go over the comments here. "Rush hour, both cities, not a good day start," says E Street. Yeah, you're right. Don't you just love ELDs? Well, you bring up a good point, Mike Scott. The ELD was, well, it's not the ELD. It's the hours of service rule, okay? If I could fudge it on paper, I wouldn't have done it, because you've got the Super Coupe at the Oklahoma-Texas border on the northbound side, and then you got the Super Coupe on the Kansas side. So, and yeah, on paper I could have made it look like, okay, it only took me a full, 2 hours just to get through or an hour through Dallas. That's what a guy could have done. However, when I parked here last night, I still had 4 hours to go. But then parking, you're not going to find any parking at any truck stop at 3 in the morning when I could have shut down. But number two, I was tired. Because I'd been up most of the day, even though I did get a nap in. And when you deal with that much rush hour traffic and everything, it wears you out. I took my half-hour break at the OC, got a meal real quick. That might have been a mistake because, eating a big meal makes you tired. But they had a good deal on chicken fajitas there at the OC, so, But I shut down because I was tired, not because I ran out of hours. And I literally got the last parking space here in Marietta. And my other option was the little Shell station on the other side of Ardmore. And then I believe there's a casino there by Paul's Valley. But by the time I was hoping to get to Oklahoma City at the Petro, but getting at the Petro at 3 a.m., there ain't going to be any parking there. Even that big Petro down there. So yeah, it's and I knew they were going to reschedule the appointment anyways, because they said, well, you got till 11 a.m. to get it done, and there was just no way. So Old Man Bo, what's my run-in area? I run primarily Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, sometimes Arkansas, and sometimes Kansas. So basically 70, 44, 40, 55, 57. That's about where I'm at. That's where the money is, and those are the areas I know the best. And those are the areas where you can maximize your profit with fuel mileage. Although, Texas doesn't have a lot of hills, but the roads, man, they tear up your truck. So I don't know if I'm gaining anything there. But yeah, this company driver came up to me and asked me, is it worth it? And you have to ask yourself that question. Is it worth it? And it's such a loaded question. I have that question asked to me all the time. And it just depends on your mental state. It just depends on what you're looking for. It just depends on, what kind of things you need at home and in the truck. Like, I think I told you guys about one time where when I was at orientation in Green Bay, there was a company driver came up to me and I asked him if he was going to go IC, and he said, oh no, only until Snyder forces me to get into an automatic, then I'll go IC. See, that's the thing. There's a mentality here that the company drivers tend to believe that becoming a Snyder owner-operator solves all the problems. And it doesn't. If you're wanting to become an owner-operator for more money, yeah, that potential's there. But if you're wanting an owner-operator because you just want a new truck, or because you just want to not drive an automatic, or the whole appeal of picking and choosing your own loads, that's a good appeal too, and that's why I became an owner-operator. However, you can't sit there and say that choose your own loads equals freedom. Because you're at the mercy of what our load board gives you. That's number one. And number two, you can't just go home anytime you want. You can and you can't. Does that make sense? So the freedom is why I do this. But at the same time, it's a lot more work on the mental side, and you're going to have weeks like this, like I have. And, you have to deal with that. You have to deal with it as it comes, And the same goes for some company, like as a company driver, if you have a mistake like this, then you're only getting so many miles. And because of my screw up, I'm not getting detention or layover. That's the thing. A lot of loads are put on our board that have a lot of time on them because they know that if they put a company driver on there, they'll either have to relay it, which costs them money, or they're going to have to pay a driver detention or layover. So those loads get put on our board. So a lot of times you use a load like that to go home with. So this will screw up my weekend too. So not a whole lot, but a little bit. But that's the price of being a business owner. My CDL instructor had a very good saying. He said, you pay the cost to be the boss. So, is it worth it? Here's where it's worth it, okay? When I was still at Landstar a couple of years ago, I just finished unloading in Kansas City and was looking at the load board. And my wife called, and there was something urgent going on at home. You know what I did? I turned the key, put in gear, and went home. That makes it worth it. I didn't have to call anybody. I didn't have to make arrangements with anybody. And if I was to had stayed home for 2 weeks, Landstar was going to call me. Unless I had a trailer. You know, they would want the trailer. But for the most part, you know, there's been a couple of incidences like that. Yeah, it's worth it. To this company guy that talked to me last night, if you're leaving the trucking industry in a year, then yeah, you definitely don't, you can't even begin to learn the business after a year. You're still learning. You know, here's I say this a lot, but here's the thing. Do you remember when he first became a truck driver? There was a lot to learn. You didn't just, you know, instantly got in the wheel with your fresh license in your hand and you knew everything. You knew how to back into every spot. You knew how to deal with every customer. You knew how to deal with every traffic situation, right? As the years go by, you get better and better. Well, being an owner-operator, being a business owner in any industry is the same thing. Why are we having an ELD discussion? Let me go through the comments here. Dan Smith says, well, Michael Stout said he started with Schneider back in '87. Okay, so Old Man Bo, okay, I'm all over the place. I'm out of Texas with SNI. Are you company or owner op there, Old Man Bo? Dan Smith, there's a different answer for every person. You are correct. Battleborn, what's up? Hammer Down says, hell no, it's not worth it, but what else are we going to do? LOL. Dollar Bill, I favor Concito parking. I do too, especially in Kansas City. That Flying J there on 435, no way. I don't even get fuel there. Motor T says, I wonder if he's ever drove an automatic. Haha, it is nice. Right. There's a lot of hate for automatics. I've never driven one in a big truck. The first truck that I originally tried to buy had one. But, you know, you don't see Pale Rider complaining, do you? Hopefully you get home this weekend. I just picked up my home load, so I got to roll. Catch the replay. Be safe out there. CPAP. CPAP, that's the beauty. Where I'm delivering is close enough to home, I can just go home. See? I set that up on purpose. Now, the other load going to Madison, Wisconsin, I would be in a snowstorm, and I definitely wasn't going to get home for the weekend. E Street says just a different set of problems, right? Dollar Bill, not to be nosy, but what's your weekly consistent average? I'm not going to tell you, Dollar Bill. I will tell you in a private conversation. But I won't put that number out here because people are like, oh, you could do better than me, or you could do worse. That's a numbers game. I'm not going to do that. Smile and get out from under this load, and you'll be all right. Back in the swing of things, man, says Hammer Down. Yep. Jeff Rednor, to me, it's worth it not to wait on a dispatcher more than anything. Right there you go, Jeff. Having self-dispatch, there is an amount of freedom. Like, I was talking to a fellow YouTuber who was dispatched, and he's telling me all the things that he goes through, and I'm just like, man, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that, because this job is stressful enough. Can you imagine making a truck payment? I'm sure some of you are. I can only imagine making a truck payment with someone telling me where and how I had to go. Oh, I got home time request at the end of December. Well, sucks to be you, right? Nothing witty. There's no perfect job. Just a matter of figuring out what kind of hurdles you can handle or put up with as an individual. There it is. Nothing witty said it all right there. That's it. Type that out and put it on a t-shirt. That is correct. And no, I'm not being sarcastic. That is true. What are you willing to put up with? Nothing witty, you just took my video to another direction. What are you willing to put up with? You want to be an owner-operator? You have to know what you're willing to put up with. Bottom line. There it is. Drop the mic. Think about that. Is it worth it to me to deal with the taxes and to deal with the fuel and deal with the costs and expenses? Well, it is when I can go home at a whim. It is when I make consistent money. It is when I don't have to go into places like Jersey or, Miami, Florida, or Los Angeles, California. Not that I don't know how to go into those places. I've been there. I've done that. Well, I haven't been to Miami. But there are certain things that I don't like dealing with out here, and I have the freedom to not deal with them. And because of the safety conscious Big Orange, the pumpkin life here, they're okay if we say, hey, you know what, we're shutting down because of a snowstorm. They don't want that liability. They don't want their orange trailer on the news in a big pileup. Remember the pileups that we were having a couple of years ago? How many orange trailers did you see in those pileups? Not much, if any. I don't remember seeing any. How many Landstar trailers did you see in these pileups? None. Because you know why? Landstar's the same way. McGee Film says should have stayed on the other load. No, because here's the thing. That area of weather is getting bad, number one. Number two, that would have been bad karma because that load was that driver's way home. Number three, there was too much time on that load. And number four, there would be even more time on that load because of the weather. So, yes, I would have made a little bit more money, but it wouldn't have been worth it in the end because I would have lost revenue anyways. Because with all the weather, like Madison, Wisconsin may not see all the snow, but most of the freight's going to pick up, the next load's going to pick up in, say, Green Bay or Chicagoland or Milwaukee. And guess what? They were getting hammered with snow. So, and they still are. So no, I didn't want to take that load. That option was given to me by the overnight person. But once I learned from my BOA that was that driver's load home, well, why should my mistake keep him from getting home? Because he doesn't have the choices I have. So you got to think about, the consequences of your actions. And my actions, I apologized to the dude. I offered to buy him a meal or coffee last night when I gave him the bills, and he was cool. And it turns out that his truck getting fixed was a good thing, because they were fixing a few other things, and he was getting ready to go into that snowstorm. So I think they were putting new tires on his truck. So everything happens for a reason. So Vicky Films, I disagree with you there. Dan Smith says Rome wasn't built in a day, neither is a successful truck business. Dan, that's a good point. Let's take Jeffrey Light, for example. He's been an owner-operator for over 20-something years, right? It wasn't easy for him all the time. He went through his struggles. But YouTube didn't exist then. So, he only started doing videos about 3 years ago. So now he makes it look easy. And he does. And he tells you how to make it look easy. And, but he's had blood, sweat, and tears, He does put it out there like the rest of us do. You know why? Because he's already gone through a lot of stuff. Outlaw Trucker, I've been on the ELD since last week. I'm down 20-25% production. I'm thinking of switching company. Outlaw Trucker. Electronic logs, if you were fudging your paper, is going to take productivity out the window. Out of the equation, I think. I don't know what I'm trying to say is, you're going to see a reduction in miles and revenue. That is a fact. Now, I could easily have this load by 5 o'clock tonight. However, the appointment time of the distribution center of where I'm going to, that was the next available appointment time, which is tomorrow at 7 p.m. So, situations like that, e-logs will do you no good. If I was a company guy, I'd be screwed right now. But eventually things will even out. Your customers will get used to it. See, what a lot of people don't realize about the electronic logs is that it's going to force, everybody's talking about mandating the shippers and receivers. And let's go over a brief history lesson. Do you know that before the hours of service regulations, that it was not uncommon for a customer to hold you for a day or 2 days, especially like meat plants, produce? Pick up a load of pumpkins. You sit out in the field till they load you. It could be a day. If it rains, they ain't loading you because they don't want mold on the pumpkins. So you can pick up a pumpkin load and be out there for 3 days. That was commonplace before the hours of service rules. And so what it did is it forced some shippers to kind of step up their game. But then, well, if you make it look good on paper, they can still get away with what they do. When I was at Transland lost customers because we went on e-logs. But guess what? A lot of the other customers catered. Like, all right, ones that didn't allow overnight parking suddenly allowed overnight parking. Some that had set appointment times had open window appointment times. The customers adjusted to the needs of the drivers. Not all of them, but a lot of them did. So, depending on what company you work for, if you're doing CVS Pharmacy is one of the worst ones of doing 7-hour unloads. Not 8, where you can do an 8-2 split. Not 10, where you can do a full 10-hour break. But 6 hours, 7 hours. And so you have to, that's the thing. Your lower production there, Outlaw Trucker, you're going to adjust of times of when you start. Like, I didn't start my clock here until I knew what my appointment time was. Now, if we didn't have the cell phone rule, I would have been on the phone as I was going down the road. But at the same time, I risked, if my appointment was 8 o'clock tonight, well, I didn't want to start my clock too early. So, but the customers will adjust eventually, because here's the thing. If a customer makes it a severe pain in the butt to go in and out of there, guess what? They will have to pay. There's not a driver that will touch those places. And if, here we have a rating system. We can actually rate customers here. We can't see the ratings, but we can rate them. And then Snyder uses that rating system on how much that they charge the customer. If 50 drivers a month go into this place and they all give it a 1 star, well, Snyder charges more for those customers to deal with their crap, and therefore they put more money on our board, and you're willing to put up with some stuff for more money. If I pick a load that I know the customer is going to take 8 hours to unload, like AWG in Springfield, then I'm going to make sure it compensates me for that. So there's an adjustment period. Everybody's talking about parking, the parking apocalypse. Now it's going to be at the customers, and the customers are going to have to adjust. If not, they're going to pay. The brokers are going to charge a ton of detention, layover, or they're going to have to switch to open window appointments, or they're going to pay if they can't get their act together. They're going to pay if they let all their trucks on their lot run out of hours while they're trying to unload them, and they don't give them a place to park. It's going to get ugly, but there's going to be an adjustment period. It's through our struggles that we become stronger. And that's going to be a struggle. Trust me. Dude, if you're just now going on e-logs, I went through that pain and struggling 6 years ago. And granted, I might take a few things for granted because I've already got the knowledge. I already know how to deal with my clock. I already know how to deal with certain customers. And here I've got the freedom to say, you know what? I know that customer, and I'm not going to do that load because, it doesn't pay enough for me to deal with that. Cool thing is always the flip side. You might catch a great load out of the next stop that you wouldn't have had not for delay, right? Looks like you're convincing yourself it's good. James is Zhang in the house. What's up? Didn't know how to keep your mindset right when faced with big hiccups. Good morning, everybody. Mark Philippi. Is that Philip? Phillips, sorry. TJ's still fighting the flu. Man, that sucks, dude. I feel you. Just had a guy demolish my truck going down 465 in Indy and keep on rolling. Dakota, I hope you have a dash cam. Snorlo, you sound like you need a hug. Don't beat yourself up for it. I'm not beating myself up for it. Rick Jones. Hammerdown does not like automatics. The little guy just went live. Yay. As Jeff says, $10 an hour CEO. I will never forget that statement. That's true. Jeff says you don't want a minimum wage CEO running your company. Man, I'm behind on the comments. I just like choosing a mate whose garbage best compliments yours because we've all got it. Says nothing witty. New house, what's up? Shadow Wolf's in the house. What mistake was made? You gotta watch my last video there, James. So I'm not gonna make this an hour-long video explaining it. I made a mistake. It's not a bad mistake. It just cost me time and money. James is on, says copy and paste Snorler's Facebook page and hit like. That's a good idea. Someone do that for me. That driver for percentage are going to be out of a lot of money if that percentage doesn't go up, says Michael Stout. Yeah, well, we'll see. You know, here it's, and James and Jean can relate to this too, because he was a good paper runner, and then, you know, he was at Transland, and we all had to learn how to adjust. I know one thing, I'd rather be on percentage on e-logs than mileage pay. Percentage, you know, here's the thing, I could book a load Saturday morning, and if the load pays good enough, then I can make up for lost time. How about them apples? Did you get swapped last night? Missed first part of the video. No. Well, yes and no. I had to go all the way to Dallas to do it. Chuck S. Ben Collins, what's up? You know, Transland took a hit. We were all good at running paper over there. They didn't force us to do that, but the guys that made the real money were able to do that. I had a good trainer. But the liability and the extra miles just wasn't worth it. Yeah, only a moderator can do it. Only a guy with a wrench can do it. And I can't make moderators on the fly like the iPhone guys do. So, Big Rich, maybe you can take care of that. Anybody with a wrench? Hammer down. I gotta roll, man. See you later, Snorler. Hope things get better for you. Things are great, man. I'm not mad. I'm kind of mellow right now. I'm not being all goofy and stupid. I'm pretty thankful, guys. You know, here's how you get over the hiccups. Here's how you get over the hurdles. Here is how you get through the BS crap that we go through. There it is. Big Rich put the Facebook link up there. Thank you, Big Rich. Here's how you get through the hurdles, man. You gotta have an attitude of gratitude. I am thankful that I found the place to park last night. I am thankful that Schneider didn't want to charge me $400 for a relay. I am thankful that I didn't have to go to Madison, Wisconsin. I'm thankful that I got such a good settlement this week that it doesn't really hurt. I am thankful that I found parking here last night. I am thankful that the driver, the Schneider driver, the company driver had a good attitude about it. I am thankful that I can get on the low board and find something to carry me through the weekend if I actually absolutely need it. That's how you get through the hurdles, is being thankful. Hate, discontent does not get you anywhere. You want to be an owner-operator, you have to have that mentality, because if not, you will fail. Because there's so much crap that we have to go through out here, and if you have a crappy attitude, you will fail. Plain and simple. Because when times get tough, and they will get tough, it's not a matter if, it's a matter of when. You have to have the mental state of getting over those hurdles. And that's not with just trucking, that's with life. That's owning a business. Talk to any business owner. You know, go to your small town, or go wherever you live, and go to the business owners, the small places, the mom and pop places, the brick and mortar places, and ask them, hey, has it always been roses? No. I knew a guy that owned a restaurant, right? He was my manager at my first job there at Piccadilly Cafeteria at Springfield, Missouri, Battlefield Mall. And then he went and bought his own restaurant. I took a date to that restaurant, and I met up with him, and he was skinny. He lost weight because he couldn't afford to eat. And he owned a restaurant. He ended up going out of business a year later. Norman Beck says it's not worth getting angry over anything. It only raises your blood pressure. Right. Think about it. We're the most unhealthiest people in any industry. You know, coal miners have the black lung thing. You know, there are different dangers, health things. I sound like an idiot now. Different health problems of different industries. Well, ours is diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease. Why? Because we're stressed out, we don't eat right, we don't sleep right, and we're under a lot of stress. So the most that you can do to reduce that stress, the better off you'll be. And having a crappy attitude is not going to help. If you get mad at every four-wheeler that cuts you off, if you get mad at every truck that sits in the fuel island, if you get mad at every single person that doesn't do what you want them to do, you live a miserable life, and I feel sorry for you. So I'm great, man. I've got plenty of time on this load now. I know where I'm going to park, and where I'm going to park is a good spot. I've got it all figured out. And now I know my appointment time, so I can book accordingly if I don't want to go home, which was my original plan anyways. Right? Richard the Viking says, getting good sleep is so important. Okay, well, let's talk about that. If you have sleep apnea, and you're denying it, if you're avoiding getting a machine, a CPAP machine, if you're avoiding getting diagnosed with sleep apnea, and you truly do have it, your health is going to deteriorate. Plain and simple. You are at higher risk for blood pressure and heart attacks, heart disease, and you don't take stress very well. The Snore Lord knows, because I had it. I still have it. Are some companies taking advantage of that? Yes. Are some companies making money on misdiagnosing people? Yeah. That's the reality of that situation, and it sucks. But at the same time, it waters down the fact that there are people that truly need that, and they're not getting it. You know, it's just easier to put rumble strips on the highway and hope that, that helps. Dan Smith says, I almost had a health risk. I just opened the doors of my trailer and it smells so bad I almost died. It's stinky bales of old milk jugs. Man. Nerds. So, anyways, that's the thing, man. Attitude is everything out here. And so when you ask yourself, is it worth it? Well, only you can answer that question. Mormon Mafia in Utah definitely taking advantage of it. At least they were a few years ago. Yeah, I don't want to turn this into a sleep study rant or anything. Because, that's a different subject for a different video. I was just talking about the dangers of the health issues that we face out here. More and more people are dying in their trucks. That's why Truckers Final Mile has to exist, is because a lot of people aren't prepared for that. So sometimes I don't like talking about stuff like the ELD mandate or the sleep apnea thing when it comes to DOT, because everybody has an opinion, and there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of YouTubers that are putting out bad info. Right now, I see a rash of Landstar versus Snyder videos of people that haven't worked for Landstar. Stop comparing companies that you haven't worked at. Stop it. There's like 3 YouTubers that just recently did Snyder versus Landstar that have never worked for Landstar. Just like all the people making comments about Traveloco that have never worked for Traveloco. There's a lot of misinformation. It creates all this argument. You know, Ike Stevens said in his video that these live feeds create division. I don't see division in my live feeds. You know why? Because I have people in here respecting the live feed. They're not going off on somebody else. There's no inner war in my live feeds. So that tells me that the people that watch my content and comment are good people. Anthony says, I had my right fender ripped off by Werner, blowout on a drive tire, and all 8 trailer tires go out all in a 2-day period. I will honestly say I was raging after all that. I kept on rolling. Anthony, think about if you had a crappy attitude, how do you deal with something like that? That's trust me, I get angry. I get mad. You know, when you do 230 miles the wrong direction because of one little mistake, and you're going through Dallas rush hour, trust me, you dwell on things. It's like, hey, idiot, this is your fault, you know? But, you know, my biggest concern was not my load, not my revenue, but hopefully I didn't screw up this company driver. That was my main concern. I could deal with my stuff, you know why? Because I've made preparations. I've worked my butt off. I know how to recoup. But that guy, if I had screwed his weekend up, you know, there's no telling what I would have ruined for him. And I was concerned about that. So that kept me through the whole, you know, let's not dwell on the negative as I went through rush hour in Dallas trying to get to the yard. With a full bladder, I might add. Rick Jones says, better off for it, feel a lot better now, just laugh and go on. There's been times where the day just got so messed up, kind of like what Anthony was talking about, that you just have to sit there and laugh at it. Like, okay, I expect pigs to be flying through the air and taking out my windshield. You know, that's the kind of day you have. It's like you expect all this stuff to happen, and when it happens, you just laugh at it. The way that people drive in big cities in rush hour around trucks is comical to me. Yes, I curse them out. Like yesterday, there was somebody in the 3rd lane in a 4-lane stretch with their flashers on. It was a car. And they were doing 50 miles an hour. People were almost nailing this person. This person did not realize how much danger they were in. I hit the brakes pretty good too. Because the 4 cars in front of, all of a sudden, they were hitting the brakes. And as I'm passing the person, they're on their phone. They're like, you see the phone in the window. Just, you know, I'm like, dude, you need to get off the road if you have a car issue. And texting while doing it is not a good idea. And it made me mad. But you know what? I laugh about it now because it's so idiotic. People are stupid, man. See, I'm laughing now. I laugh at myself. You know, a year from now, I'm going to look at this mistake and go, hey, remember that time where I forgot to read my bills and took the wrong trailer because the place I went to gave me the wrong trailer? And I didn't double check them? Yeah. Ha ha ha. Dan Smith, you also don't rant about others or spew BS. Dan, there was one time where I did rant about one other YouTuber. And, you know, it was constructive criticism for that YouTuber. And it didn't go well. So I deleted the video, and I never did that again. Peter Will Mark says, I'm one of the good guys. Thank you. Trucker Tucker. Say that 5 times fast. Like a guy I told at work, it's a free country. Go make yourself happy. Only you can change your job or situation. Dan Smith said he actually went 20 miles the wrong way because I didn't pay attention. That little bit got me mad. Dan, was that on the turnpike by any chance? I know people have done that. I've never went the wrong way on the turnpike, but that could be a 30, 40 mile mistake there. Anthony T says, believe me, I was ready to walk. LOL, I just sat back, took a deep breath, and laughed it off. There you go, Anthony. That's how you get through stuff, man. Sometimes you just got to take a deep breath and, like, you know, you could be stuck in traffic, right? You could be, like, trying to keep from going under a 12-7 bridge, right? And you're stopped. Cars are honking at you, flipping you off. The cops are coming. Just take a deep breath, man. That's all you can do. You don't want to drive the truck through the bridge. You don't want to make a dangerous maneuver to get out of there. So you just wait for the cops and you just take a deep breath and, like, well, guess my GPS is a piece of crap. So Michael Stout went from Wisconsin to Dallas one time and was supposed to drop trailer in Kansas City. Yep, see, we've all made mistakes, man. You got, oh, okay, Dan said he went on 81 instead of the turnpike. Renton, Florida. Hey, you got a profile pic now. I did the same mistake back in 99 or 00, late at night during a trip from Minnesota East Coast. I jumped back on the turnpike, and after an hour or so, seeing signs in Ohio. Right? So, guys, this has been a good live feed. And I'm surprised I was able to do it because my signals are usually not very good here in Marietta. It's spotty. I guarantee if I was on that side of the building over there, that it would be spotty. But, you know, here's how I'm looking at it. I'll get to Kansas City tonight. I'll park in that place. I'll look to see if there's any concerts, and I'll call a couple of friends to see if they can pick me up, and we'll go to the concert if there's any in the area. You got to make the best of what you got. Or I'll use the free time to catch up my computer stuff, look for a load now that I know my... the only thing I don't know about this customer I've never been to, but they're notoriously bad for, is I don't know how long it's going to take for them to unload me. So we will see. So I'll just look for stuff that leaves out Saturday. If not, I'll just go home. To get rid of my trailer, if I go home for a few days, I can just leave it somewhere in Kansas City. So, not a big deal, man. It's not a big deal. Allows me enough free time to kind of reflect on how not to make that mistake again. And I told you guys that I'm honest, and that I will tell you when I screw up. Because you have too many YouTubers that make mistakes, and they won't own up to it. They give bad advice, and they make mistakes, and they won't own up to it. They want to blame other people. They want to blame, Yes, Groundhog, we missed you. They want to blame others for their decisions. They want to blame others for their issues. They want to blame others for the problems that they had at certain companies. And you can't do that. Because in the end, it's all on you. Plain and simple. Rick Cummins, Canada hours of service is 1316. What? That's reasonable. What do you think? Rick, that's another question for another time. Shadow Wolf says, I'm a mistake. I'm still driving one of these big rigs. Yeah, but Shadow Wolf, you got a nice truck. You're happy with your company. And you got a good YouTube channel. So life is good for you, my friend. Just don't buy coffee at that place in the hood again. You'll be all right. Yeah, Pale Rider made a $200 overweight mistake. He's honest. He's honest in his videos. Guys, if I can make a mistake and laugh it off, you know, that should show you something. Thanks for this discussion. Thanks for keeping my live feed chat nice. Thank you for not bringing up any rivalries or anything. And thanks for having a good, positive discussion. Okay? Guys, have a good day. Because in the end, it's all you can do. Be thankful you're breathing and walking, listening, loving, and laughing. Peace.